My name is Samantha. I am the VSA president of this upcoming academic year, and I'm going to start off with our presentation. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay, so this is our lovely presentation. I don't know if I can, okay. So this is our executive board. There's Jerry and Min, which are our vice presidents. Callista is our secretary, and Yvonne is our event coordinator, which she is also presenting with me today. This is our other half of our executive board, Nina, which was supposed to present with us, but due to family urgency, she cannot make it. Jacqueline, Rachel, Alvin, Alan, and John. So for our mission statement in the Vietnamese Student Association, we want to spread awareness of the Vietnamese and Vietnamese American cultural identity to its members and community. We also want to educate and empower those through various programs and activities, tackle any social or cultural barriers, and also aid in the community service alongside AASU, which is the Asian American Student Union, and other affiliations under that. For our annual events that we have within VSA, usually we have ACE, which is Anh, means big brother, older sister, and little sibling. And it's usually our big little reveal that we have in fall semester. VSA Olympics is basically just an Olympic version, but with different teams usually. Tally by Night is our annual cultural show that we had. Sadly, we couldn't do it this year due to the pandemic, but hopefully we can get it up next year. Mid-Autumn Festival is also a banquet, usually happens in the fall semester. We partner up with CASA, which is the Chinese American Student Organization, and CASA, which is the Korean American Student Association. And we all work together to create this Mid-Autumn Festival for everyone to enjoy. And we usually participate in other AASU or affiliate banquets or perform in those as well. In VSA, we also do networking and traveling. One of the things that we usually go to is SELC, which is the Southeast Leadership Camp. It is under a big org called UVSACE, the Union of Vietnamese Student Association Southeast. And it's basically a regional event that a lot of people that like to participate want to hone in on their leadership skills, but also kind of learn about the Vietnamese culture and also building bonds with other people from all over the place. Some people usually come from Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. Some people I met were from Maryland. Another event that we usually go to is Night in Saigon, which is a cultural event that University of Georgia has in Athens, Georgia. It's usually very big. A lot of VSA attend it, and they usually have a very nice, well put together skit to go along with it. Element is also a regional convention under the UVSACE program, and it's more, instead of a campy kind of bonding compared to SELC, it is a professional convention where you hone in on professional skills and networking. General body meetings. For what we do in our meetings, usually we have an icebreaker, so it's kind of like an activity to get to know other people. Like, for example, we just play a mini game of like fun facts, games that we usually have, that we usually get from other conventions. If not, we find online some type of inspiration that we like to bring to our members. We also like to educate others about the Vietnamese culture and what we do on special holidays like Lunar New Year. Social events that we usually have, we usually go to create games, if not potlucks, or any restaurants and fundraisers that we have. We try to make events for other members to attend to get to know people more and to meet other new people as well. Built on topics with relation to Vietnam, so we like to include events and games in relation to Vietnam in some sort of way. For example, we did include Halloween. So it was our Halloween kind of GBM that we hosted. And it was a few years back where it was kind of a mix of Halloween, Ma as in ghost for Vietnamese, and Halloween. So we did a fusion of that meeting. And then we're gonna take it away with Yvonne presenting the next half of the presentation.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yvonne, and I am the events coordinator for VSA. So I want to be covering the cultures of Vietnam, and we're going to start off with cultural wear. We have the traditional áo dài for men and women. It's usually floor length and very sleek, very flowy, usually worn all over Vietnam. And then next we have the áo bà ba, which is mainly worn by women in the South. And then we have the áo tứ thân, which is worn by women in the North. In modern day, we have áo dài, but they're shorter and they look more like dresses, so they flare out a little bit more and they don't quite reach the floor length. As for men, their tunics are a little bit more fancy, a little bit brighter than traditional ones, which are a little bit dull looking, and their pants are fitting, not loose, like most traditional ones. As for cultural dances, we have the Vietnamese bamboo dance, which features the Vietnamese zither. It originates from ethnic groups of Vietnam, and it's just basically rows of bamboo sticks lined up on the floor, and dancers will dance across it, jump across the bamboo sticks to the other side. It usually goes in pairs with one guy and a girl, and then it goes with, and then it goes to the girls only and then guys only. As for the bamboo hat dance, it features the bamboo flute, which gives it a high-pitched melody. Usually bamboo dances don't have very sharp movements in them. It's very soft and it's kind of like waves. It's very flowy. And then the Vietnamese lion dance, it's probably one of the most well-known. It's performed at weddings and specifically on New Year's, and it features the Tengu drums. So going back to the outfits, with the áo tứ thân, which is in the upper left corner, it usually consists of a halter top, a circular floor-length skirt with light coats, silk, and it has 4 tails. And as you can see, the lady's wearing a circular hat, and that's just part of their outfit. And then back to the áo dài, it's a tunic with 2 long tails with loose-fitting pants, usually silk. And then the áo bà ba, which is shorter. It looks more like a shirt, but it still has the 2 tails and the silk pants. As for the props, we have veils, which gives the dance a little bit more dynamic and takes up the negative space that isn't being used. And the fans, usually fans will have a little bit extra fabric on them to create like a flame effect. It looks really, really nice. And then moving on, we have our cuisine. I'm gonna start with the South just because I am from the South. We have bánh xèo, which is a crispy Vietnamese crepe. It's made from, I believe, rice powder and a little bit of turmeric to give it its yellow color. It's filled with bean sprouts, pork and or shrimp, green onions. You can do any fillings that you like. I know people who do mung beans or seafood in them too. It's usually served with lettuce, pickled vegetables, and nước chấm, which is dipping sauce. The dipping sauce is usually fish sauce. And then we have bánh bèo from central Vietnam. It features rice cakes that are made from rice and tapioca flour. It's usually topped with shredded dried shrimps and crispy pork skin, best eaten with fish sauce drizzled on top. And then last but not least, we have the northern cuisine, which is bún chả. It's a vermicelli rice noodle with grilled pork and pickled carrots and daikons, lettuce, green papaya, and fresh herbs. It's often served with fish sauce. As you can see, fish sauce is an essential to Vietnamese dishes. And so for today, we are gonna make Vietnamese spring rolls, or as we call Gỏi Cuốn in Vietnamese. It usually has vermicelli noodles, fresh veggies, and shrimp. And you can't have Vietnamese spring rolls without the peanut sauce. So we're also gonna make that. It's hoisin sauce with peanut butter. It's a little bit of an odd combination, but it tastes really good. And you just season that to taste, and you can add sriracha if you like spice. And then we're gonna make our drink, which is the Vietnamese coffee. We call perseveres. It's usually freshly brewed, and it gives it the aromatic smell of fresh coffee. It smells really, really nice. And the condensed milk gives it a little bit of sweetness, but it still has that bitterness of the freshly brewed coffee. And so we're gonna pass it on to Jessie, who's gonna make our menu for tonight.
Thank you all so much. We really appreciate it. Really quick before we pass it off to Jessie, where can folks find out more information about your organization on social media or Knoll Central?
For our organization, you can always find us on Knoll Central. I think it's under the Vietnamese Student Association, but also we have a Facebook, FSU, VSA, in those words, FSU, VSA, or Vietnamese Student Association, and we also have an Instagram, which is FSU at FSU VSA.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, Jessie, over to you.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Globe Kitchen. As Yvonne told us, we've got all kinds of recipes to get through today. We have Gỏi Cuốn, is the salad roll or spring roll, or also the summer roll. It's fresh, unfried rice paper that's wrapping all types of different fillings. Today, we've got some kind of uncommon ingredients. And so we can give you some, as we go through, some alternatives. This is a really interesting one I picked up at our Asian store here. It's called fish mint. It's kind of heart-shaped, and it's kind of a viney vegetable. And from what I understand, this isn't commonly used in the Vietnamese American restaurants because it does have a strong fish type aroma to it. And so this is something that is used in Vietnam and you know, at home. So this is something kind of different that I'm kind of excited to try here. And then I also found this, and this is commonly used in salad rolls. It's I guess in English, it's like a Vietnamese like balm. And so it's kind of a cross between like mint and lemon balm. It's got this really kind of citrusy aroma and a really like a nice fresh taste too. It's really delicious, and it really goes well in these salad rolls. Also, a kind of uncommon ingredient, we got fish sauce here. And this is pretty popular all throughout Southeast Asia. It's very salty, very acidic, and we're going to make a dipping sauce out of this today called Nuoc Cham. And then here's the Cuisine here. And this is kind of common in a lot of different Asian foods, but it's really good. I use it with barbecue marinades. It's really good as you know, works well with smoky stuff on the grill. And this really works really nice with the peanut sauce today. It's a hoisin peanut sauce. We've just got plain creamy peanut butter, but you could use crunchy peanut butter. Other than that, here's our wrappers. So when I was in the Asian store, there's a bunch of different types of wrappers. But you want to make sure you get Vietnamese one that's good for Gỏi Cuốn. Because they make some that are also good for frying, and these are made to be soaked and then eaten fresh. And so you just want to make sure you get those that are made for eating fresh. All right, so start off, we're going to make our dipping sauces. The first one, Nuoc Cham. It is a spicy and pungent sauce. It is really, really good to dip these rolls in, or other spring rolls, or to use as like a condiment on you know, noodle dishes, or you know, fish sauce by itself can be added to soups. I definitely like fish sauce and hoisin added to my pho. Yeah, so let's get started on it. We got one bird eye chili. These are very spicy, so I'm going to use a glove today. I would recommend using a glove, and you just want to mince this up. I'm going to cut the stem off because I am using the glove, and then I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to cut it in half again, and again. I'm gonna leave the seeds in there. I'm just gonna mince it very small. You can remove the seeds if you want. Make it a little less spicy. All right. So you definitely want to mince this up very small. It's going to kind of float around, and you don't want to get too big of a chunk. You want the flavor of the chili and the garlic, which we're going to add it in a minute, to kind of infuse into the fish sauce. And so when you dip it in there, you get a nice blending of all those flavors. All right, so really finely minced. Just going to put it in this bowl here. Okay. And then I'm going to take this glove off. All right, so I'm going to add about half a clove or so of garlic. The recipe I posted online on Wednesday. I practiced it on Thursday, and I felt like these sauces ended up making too much, so I cut them in half. So you know, this kind of sauce, if you want to make the full amount, it does stay good for quite a while, and so you can just put it in your fridge and pull it out whenever you want to use it as a condiment. All right, so I guess there is a magic kind of number for this. It's like a golden rule. You do 1 part fish sauce, 1 part equal part sugar, and then 5 parts water. And that is supposed to be the perfect ratio. So you get something that's not too strong, but also definitely not weak. So that's 1 tablespoon of fish sauce. Very fragrant and very delicious. Let's see. And then we're going to do 1 tablespoon of sugar. And we're going to put that all in there. And then for the lime, we're going to cut across this way. We're just going to squeeze about a half a lime in there. And one trick I saw online is you can come and you turn it inside out. Might help to cut across a little bit here. You turn the lime inside out, and you take your knife, and you can get some of those lime segments in there, those little juice kind of packets. Let's see. And so then you'll have little bursts of lime as well as the lime juice. Try not to get that kind of papery stuff in between. All right, there we go. All right, so that was 1 tablespoon fish sauce, 1 tablespoon sugar, and so then we're going to do 5 tablespoons of water. So you're going to let this kind of hang out in here. Let's get this all stirred up. The fish sauce itself has lots and lots of salt in it, so it's very salty on its own. We don't have to add any salt to this. Whoops, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to kind of do a half of one right there because I spilled a little. 4.5. All right, so I'm going to give it a quick stir. We're going to set this to the side for a little bit, and we'll pull it back out later. All right. So moving on to the peanut sauce. This is a cooked sauce. And so we have some minced up shallot. This is it kind of depends. There's many different sizes. I would say just like a medium size to a small size shallot. And this is a whole one, so I'm going to use about half of that. And I'm going to use a little bit, about a tablespoon or so of garlic. I feel like with this hoisin peanut sauce, you can kind of you know, play around with these proportions and add a little more garlic if you like more garlic. Some recipes didn't have the shallots, but I personally love shallots, so I'm gonna add that in. But yeah, we can bring it over to the stove here. And the first thing we do is start sauteing up the shallot. This should be about a medium-high heat. We're gonna get a little garlic in here too. Well, a lot of these recipes we've been doing over the past few weeks, when we saute up the garlic and onion, we were careful not to get it brown or you know, kind of get a lot of color on it. And this recipe, and definitely in a lot of Vietnamese foods, fried shallots, crispy garlic, these are, you know, we're going for getting it brown and crispy and delicious. It's a stronger flavor. So this one, we can go up a little higher temperature. We do want to be careful that we don't burn it, because it will burn very fast. So you can add some chili to this too. You could do a little bird eye chili. You could do just some other type of red chili if you wanted to. Starting to get a little toasty here. Turn it down. All right, so we are going to add about 4 ounces of hoisin. And so I got a half cup here. The videos I was watching on this one were kind of vague. They would put in like a half a bottle of hoisin, and I think, you know, a lot of people make this type of thing in bulk, and they keep it in their fridge and they pull it out. It shouldn't go bad very quickly. It should definitely stay good for a while. All right, so I'm gonna pour the hoisin in. And I'm cooking this in a saute pan right now. This is not ideal, but this is kind of easier to show you all. You could definitely use a smaller saucepan to cook this. That would definitely be easier.
So Jesse, if we're going to make like a larger batch of this sauce, what are some other things that you could use it on?
Well, it's a dipping sauce for all type of things. You know, if you do like chicken satay, that kind of thing, you could do use it as a dipping sauce for that. You could use it for like fried spring rolls. You could use it as a marinade for meat before you grill it. Although the peanut butter might be a little, yeah, that could be a little interesting. We're gonna do, well, that's a little too much. Peanut butter is definitely a lot less than the hoisin. I'm gonna go like about a tablespoon here. There we go. You're gonna stir the peanut butter in. Right now we're on low heat. At this point, you don't want it to be up too high because it will burn pretty quickly with all this. The hoisin has a fair amount of sugar in it. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. Let's get this incorporated. This is gonna be pretty thick at this point. And then the recipe I had calls for a little bit of sugar. You can kind of make it without the sugar and taste it at the end and see if it needs a little bit of sweetness to it. I found that the hoisin is pretty sweet on its own. But it's the kind of finishing touches are up to you. You could also do, I tasted the one we prepared yesterday, and I thought it needed a little bit of salt, so I added a tiny pinch of salt to it. All right, so we're gonna do about a half a cup of water here too. So let's put this water in. All right. Sam, have you made this sauce at home before?
No, I have not.
You have not.
Usually my aunt makes the sauce, so I don't know what kind of secret she makes it with, but it always ends up really good. I make my own spring rolls though, because it's kind of customizable. Like as if you go to a Subway, you ask for what you want in your sub. You kind of just have a buffet of like things that you want to add. So I usually just make my thing and then just have the dipping sauce ready for me. I'm not a fan of veggies, but like super good.
It sounds good. Yeah, I was looking up. Yeah, there's different versions. So the have you had the bobia? Is that how you say it? Or have you heard of that one?
I have. I'm not sure if I've had it,
Yeah.
but I've had Gỏi Cuốn for a long time in my family. It's always been a tradition, mostly from my dad's side.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually have pork and shrimp and all sorts of veggies with it, like the typical spring roll.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. I recommend it. I definitely would say like if there's an easier recipe, if you just want to make it a convenient way, like there's a lot of shortcuts to make it with. But if you have the time and you want to put more detail and more flavoring in it, I would suggest adding like shallots and garlic and whatever you want.
I was surprised with the bobia recipe that there's jicama in there. I didn't realize that jicama was a vegetable that was used in Asian foods. I guess I associate it with like Mexican foods and Central American foods. So I was interested in trying that. Yeah, it's got like a sausage and then jicama and kind of like really thin egg omelet that's sliced up, and then also lettuce and some herbs and things. All right, so here's our dipping sauce. It's very good. And this was a half recipe. And that still made a lot. All right, let's taste it and see if it needs anything. I'm gonna do a little pinch of salt again. Pretty good.
I think this is the hardest part of the show where you eat what you're making and then we all just have to be like,
Yeah, these salad rolls are really easy to make, and I've made them a lot over throughout my career, but haven't had them in a while, and it was just so refreshing yesterday to make them and eat them, and this is such a wonderful summertime appetizer, for a when you're grilling out or something like that. They're really easy to prepare, so let's get into them. We've got our sauces ready. This one's gonna hang out over here. Let that one hang out there. Let me clear these chilies right here so I don't burn myself. Move this. All right. All right, so we poached the shrimp. These are kind of larger shrimp and the pork together. And this is all I could really find at Publix was like, you want to get a low fat pork. And after you poach it, you want to trim off kind of this bristly or fatty stuff. You want to definitely like a lean pork. And this was just like a pork loin, so it's low fat. And we poached it in water with like a tablespoon sugar and salt and some rice vinegar, just to give it a little background flavor. It's nothing serious. And then you want to clean your shrimp. You want to devein it before you poach it. You can poach it with the shell and legs on, but you definitely need to pull all that off before. Whoops, ripped that one in half. That's okay. Nobody can tell once it goes into the roll. And then the shrimp, once you get them shelled, you want to cut them in half right through the back, and then they'll fit in the roll better that way. All right, so we also have some julienne cucumber. It's seeded and we peeled it. We've got our fish mint. We've got our Vietnamese balm, and we have some green onion that's been washed and sliced through. You could get, you know, plain on regular mint, and that would work really well as a substitute for any of this. You could also get a little cilantro, put some cilantro in there. That's good too. We also, here's our other thing here, is rice vermicelli. Here's what I got at the Asian store. And this one, you just cook it so whatever the package says. This one, we added it to boiling water. We turned it off. We let it sit in the boiling water for 3.5 minutes. And then we pulled it out, rinsed it, and then you got to rinse it in cold water and pretty quickly because it will start to fall apart. You basically want it to be kind of stretchy without, you know, breaking apart very easily. So you want it to be a little bit elastic. If you overcook it, it will kind of completely disintegrate pretty quick. So you'll be able to tell if it's overcooked. All right, let's move this stuff over here. Take this out of the way. And then you're gonna need a container. I'm gonna use this to hold your wrappers. You're gonna need to soak one at a time. Actually, let's use this. I've got some water boiling on the back here for the coffee. So I'm gonna use a little bit of this very hot water, and I'm gonna add some cold water to it. You could just use hot water from your tap. Usually that's good enough. You should be able to put your hands into it without them burning, but you know, it should be a little bit warmer than lukewarm. And the temperature of the water actually is important. If it's too hot, it will soften up your wrapper too quickly, and then it'll be really hard to roll, and it'll kind of fall apart on itself too. And then if it's too cold, it'll take forever for it to kind of soften up, and it just won't soften up right either. All right, so one at a time. Water is a little bit more than lukewarm. Doesn't matter which side it goes in, you just put it in. And give it a second. Sometimes you can feel that one side might be softening faster than another side, or there may be kind of a tough area. And if there's a tough area, usually I'll just kind of rub it a little bit and get it going. And the idea is you want to pull it out. Right now it still has a little bit of firmness to it, but it's softening up. You want to pull it out before it's the softness that you want, because it will keep softening as it's on your cutting board. Yes, that feels good. Here, I'm going to switch cutting boards. Okay. So yeah, you want to have a clean, dry workspace. Okay. And then the first part we're going to put in is some lettuce. And this is just green leaf lettuce. We're going to just put a little bit in as our base. And I'm going to add a couple of leaves here. So pick out a couple good ones here of the balm. Put a little bite in there. And we're going to get a couple pieces of our fish mint. Okay. Actually, we could do something like this. The part that you want to be faced out should be facing down. So when you roll it, you're going to be able to see through that outer layer. So we'll put those there. Well, let's hold on. I got to move a little faster here. Let's do the shrimp first, and then we'll put those on top. So the shrimp should be faced down. And we do a little bit of noodle. So if your thing starts sticking a little bit, you can also get a little water going. My cutting board was actually pretty dry, which is okay. All right, so from here, we've got a little bit of pork and the cucumber. And I think we're good to go here. And we're gonna put these leaves on top here, so we get a little green background. There we go. All right, this kind of bunched up a little bit here. So we're gonna go for it. So just gonna roll this up like a burrito. We're gonna roll up to the side here. We'll roll up to the side there. Once it's all rolled up, it's kind of hard to tell where these parts kind of bunched up. Once you get the softness of the wrapper right, pretty forgiving. So you do want to put some pressure on it as you're rolling. If you put too much pressure, it will split. Not enough pressure, and it's not going to be very tight. And they do need to be somewhat tight. There we go. There's the first one. I'm gonna actually, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a couple more for y'all so you can see that again. I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit of water on my cutting board. I think that's actually probably a good idea. This one was particularly dry and my wrapper started sticking to it. All right, let's start another one of these.
And do you have any additional advice on working with the wrapper? Because it does look like if you haven't used it before or worked with it before, that it seems to bunch up a little bit.
Yeah, well, it does take some practice. So one good thing is one pack of these usually comes with at least 20 wrappers. So the first couple fall apart, you know, just keep going with it. And it's really you have to have a delicate touch with it, but you also have to, you know, apply the appropriate pressure. So it's just a feeling that you have to kind of develop with a little bit of practice. But I mean, honestly, once you figure it out, and a lot of it has to do with the water temperature and how fast your noodle rehydrates. And once you kind of work with it for a couple times, you know, it comes more natural. Yeah, this one's a little bit better. And I think, yeah, wetting the cutting board.
Another technique with that is that, like, when you have the circular wrapper, what I like to do is usually dip half of the circular wrapper first, and then kind of like twist it into like, it's like a wheel basically. Like pretend it's like a wheel, and you just kind of go in the water circularly. So half a circle's in the water, and then it's kind of balanced in a sense, instead of sticking like the whole thing in case it might get too soft by the time you take it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea because it kind of slows it down. So if you have hotter water, that would work pretty well too. All right, so my herbs, some of the rice noodle. One of the videos I was watching, somebody put some aioli in it. So like a mayonnaise, just a little strip of mayonnaise in there. That looked pretty interesting. He's a Vietnamese chef in LA. It's a very popular restaurant with celebrities over there. Pretty cool presentation. All right, so now I've got my green onion too. We're gonna add that into this one. You can do chive or green onion, but we'll put 4 in there now. And then some more pork. And if you don't want to do pork, you don't have to do pork in here. You could also do tofu. This is kind of a easy one to do vegan. You do some fried tofu or marinated baked tofu in there. Okay, so fold it over, fold it over. this looks pretty good. And that's those leaves, you can compress those leaves pretty easily. I'm gonna stick this green onion in here. There we go. We got a little green onion sticking out.
It looks so beautiful.
Yeah, they're so good. They're so refreshing. And once you start going, you get all your ingredients together. You can really just keep going and you know, make a bunch of these. I can make. Actually, let me get the coffee started. I'm so happy we're making coffee for coffee hour today. So we've got some Vietnamese coffee. It's a blend of Arabica and Robusta, and it's got some chocolate flavor in it. It's medium ground, but pretty dark roast. So it's got a really rich, kind of smoky flavor. And my little device here is really cool. No filter needed. It has its own filter with all these little metal holes in here. So this part goes on top of your cup. This part holds the coffee. And then you put this top part on and kind of compress the coffee, and you add it just enough water to fill to the top. And then it takes a couple minutes to drip through. So I'm going to make iced coffee today. So here we go. Let's pull this out. I'll get this started and then we can, I'm gonna get a clean spoon. Then I'll do a couple more rolls for y'all. I'm gonna try these dipping sauces. I wanna try the noix chum. I haven't had that in a while. All right, so about like a tablespoon or so of coffee, maybe a little bit more. And then you can pick these up in town. They've got these at Lynn's and these single serving size. I think they make them in larger sizes too. We're going to use this. We're going to compress a little bit. Try to get a nice even coating of coffee down there. All right. And then I've got some boiling water. And then we just fill this little cup up. And it drips right onto the ice. And you have an instant iced coffee. And I've got condensed milk in here we could mix into it. It takes a few minutes. Yeah, the coffee flavor, the way that this is brewed, it really changes the flavor of the coffee. Like if I brew my normal coffee at home with, you know, in a regular coffee pot or drip pot or whatever, compared to this is just really, really like condensed and strong and like smoky. That to me is like, it really brings out the smoky element of coffee. And it's just really, really delicious and very caffeinated. All right. I'm gonna add one more kind of scoop of hot water to my mix here. And we'll do one more. Do we got time for one more? Yeah. So any other questions out there? Sam or Yvonne, you guys have anything you want to add to this?
So we do have one question. If someone wants to make like a bunch of these and save them, is that good? Or is it best just to make the rolls fresh as you want to eat them?
All right, so these are a little tough to store, but it is possible. But you don't want to store them for more than a day even. I mean, you can store them overnight in the fridge, but you've got to have, so you'd want to make them, and as you're preparing them, you'd want some type of dish or, you know, container that you would have a layer of paper towels that are really pretty moist on the bottom and the top. And then you would wrap the whole thing in plastic wrap. because once these wrappers start drying out, they're really not good to eat. They become really chewy and tough, and so I mean, it's really best to just make them and eat them fresh. But you can store them probably for one day, and they'll still be okay. All right, so lettuce. You know, if you're having some kind of, you know, meal or people coming over for dinner, and you didn't have the time to make these right then, you can definitely make them a few hours before, wrap them up like that, and leave them at room temperature too. Because once even these rice noodles and everything chill, I mean, they're still good, but when it's all fresh and stuff, it's just definitely better. All right, little noodles. Got my shrimp facing out here. Couple fish mints. Sam, do you like the fish mint?
I'm not a fan of veggies.
Oh, you don't like veggies at all? Oh,
Yeah, I know I'm weird, but veggies is not my thing. I don't know. When people tell me they taste good, I'm like, maybe to you, but I
so
prefer,
like all
I
veggies.
prefer, usually I go with the plain route. I just go with vermicelli noodles, the pork, the shrimp, and dipping sauce, and I'm satisfied. Usually I can eat like about up to 5 or 6 of them at once.
Oh
But
yeah,
if
definitely. Yeah.
if
So
people
yeah,
like
you can.
vegetables, I suggest adding them.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely customize this. That's what's fun about it. And then we're gonna do a green onion. What am I missing? Am I missing anything?
Samantha,
Oh, a
don't
couple of
worry.
these
There are some
bones.
comments saying that they agree with you on no veggies.
No veggies.
And one of the best thing about making Gỏi Cuốn is that like it's pretty convenient, I would say. If you don't feel like you want to make it, you want your guests to make it, they can do it because you can't really like say, oh, what if they like this or what if they don't like that? So it's kind of like a self-serve appetizer in a way, like you're making your own burrito in a sense. So everything's very convenient for you and it's very fresh.
That would be fun. Yeah, make your own salad roll party. Oh, I forgot the green onion. That's all right. There we go. Oh yeah, let's try it. Laura has to remind me to do stuff sometimes there. All right, so the noix cham, that sugar has melted in. Our sauce has cooled off enough. It's gonna be a little warm, but that's okay. And then just go for it. The lime is really strong. It's not super fishy, but excellent. Thank you all for coming. Checking out Coffee Hour this week. Thanks Sam and Yvonne for the great presentation. And I'll see y'all next week. Back to Michelle.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. We do have a couple other questions I'm really sorry we couldn't get to today, but we'll try to get some answers for you. But major thanks to Yvonne and Samantha for presenting today and telling us more about the Vietnamese Student Association. And thank you to Jessie for the cooking show, and of course to Laura and Kevin for behind the scenes helping make this event successful. So another thank you all for joining today. We will break out into our discussion groups here. So if you would like to stick around and chat with some folks, then we will do that. And that will end about 6:30. But once again, thank you all so much for being here. It's so great seeing you.